Today it's sunny. Perfect blue sky, no clouds, the kind of day that should make you feel amazing. You wake up, see that light flooding through your window, and you think, this is going to be a good day. But here's the thing. By 11 a.m., you're exhausted. By 2 p.m., you're anxious. By evening, you're in a mood you can't quite explain. And you blame yourself. You think, I should feel better. It's beautiful outside. What's wrong with me? Everything you've been told about sunshine and happiness is incomplete. And the science behind why sunny days make you feel worse than cloudy ones is something almost nobody talks about. We have this cultural story. Sunshine equals happiness. Clouds equal depression. Buy vitamin D supplements. Get more sun exposure. Boost your serotonin. The logic seems airtight. For millions of years, our ancestors thrived in sunlight. Of course, we're built to love it. But that story was written by people who didn't understand the full picture. Because here's what's actually happening. Your body doesn't respond to sunlight the way you think it does. And the reason sunny days make you feel worse isn't a bug. It's a feature of a system that's trying to keep you alive. Let's start with the thing everyone talks about, but nobody understands. Serotonin. You've heard this before. Sunlight increases serotonin. Serotonin makes you happy. Therefore, more sun equals more happiness. It's in every self-help article, every health blog, every Instagram post about mental health. It sounds right because it's so simple. The problem is that the science is much weirder than the story. In 1998, researchers at the National Institutes of Health did something that sounds impossible. They measured serotonin production in human brains under different lighting conditions. Not estimated, not assumed, directly measured. What they found was striking. Yes, sunlight does increase serotonin. But the relationship isn't what you'd expect. Serotonin doesn't just climb steadily as light increases. It peaks at a specific light intensity, and then something strange happens. Beyond that threshold, it starts to plateau. More light doesn't mean more serotonin anymore. Your brain hits a ceiling. And in the presence of very bright light, the kind of light you get on a clear, sunny day, your serotonin receptors actually become less sensitive. Your brain downregulates them. This is called desensitization. Your brain is saying, okay, we're getting a ton of this signal. Let's turn down the volume. It's the same mechanism that happens with any repeated stimulus. Sit in bright sunlight long enough, and your serotonin system learns to tune it out. But here's where it gets darker. When your serotonin system is overstimulated and then suddenly becomes less sensitive, there's a rebound effect. Your baseline serotonin doesn't stay high. It actually dips below where it was before. Researchers call this tachyphylaxis, rapid tolerance followed by a crash. You know the feeling. You had a great sunny morning. By afternoon, you're in a funk. The neurotransmitter that was supposed to make you happy is now actually lower than it would have been on a cloudy day. There's another system at work here that's even more powerful than serotonin. Your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. Your circadian rhythm is controlled by a tiny structure called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, buried deep in your brain. Every morning, when light hits your eyes, it sends a signal to this nucleus that says, wake up. It's daytime. Time to work. This system evolved over millions of years when the sun was the only light source. It worked beautifully because the sun's movement was predictable. It rose at dawn, climbed gradually, peaked at noon, and set at dusk. Your body learned to expect that pattern and adapt. But modern sunlight doesn't follow that ancient rhythm anymore. Because of atmospheric changes, pollution, and light reflection off concrete and buildings, sunlight today is often much more intense than it was in our ancestors' environment. The peak intensity is higher. It hits faster. It's more jagged. When your circadian system receives this shock of intense light, it doesn't just say, okay, daytime. It says, threat, brightness emergency, release cortisol, prepare for action. Cortisol is your stress hormone. On a cloudy day, your cortisol release is gradual and predictable. On a sunny day, especially in the morning, it can spike dramatically. High cortisol in the morning is fine. It's supposed to help you wake up and be alert. But here's the problem. If that spike is too high, if the signal is too intense, your brain overcompensates. By midday, your cortisol crashes. And a cortisol crash feels exactly like what you described: exhaustion, anxiety, mood instability. Your nervous system is exhausted from the sudden demand. This is where most people try to defend the sun is good narrative. They say, well, At least you're getting vitamin D. And yes, you are. But vitamin D is not the hero of this story. It's complicated. Vitamin D does help your immune system and bone health. The science is clear on that. But there's something else happening with vitamin D and mood that nobody talks about. In 2013, a study from the University of Toronto looked at vitamin D levels and depression across multiple seasons. What they found was counterintuitive. Higher vitamin D levels didn't always correlate with better mood. In fact, in some populations, the correlation was inverted. People with higher vitamin D were actually more likely to report depressive symptoms. How is that possible? If vitamin D is supposed to help your mood, how can more of it make things worse? The answer involves something called the vitamin D receptor saturation point. Your body can only use so much vitamin D. Once your receptors are saturated, extra vitamin D doesn't help. It just gets stored. And when vitamin D accumulates in your system without being used, it can trigger an inflammatory response. Inflammation. That's the hidden culprit in sunny day depression. Excessive sunlight exposure doesn't just affect your hormones. It directly increases oxidative stress in your skin and eyes. When you're exposed to intense UV radiation and blue light for hours, your body mounts an inflammatory response to protect itself. This inflammation isn't localized to your skin. It travels through your bloodstream. It reaches your brain. And once inflammation reaches your brain, it suppresses serotonin production, increases cortisol, and disrupts the delicate balance of neurotransmitters that regulate mood. So you're getting plenty of vitamin D. Your vitamin D receptors are saturated. Your body is inflaming itself to protect you from the sun, and your brain is paying the price. Now let's talk about blue light, because it's the final piece of this puzzle. On a sunny day, the sun's spectrum is weighted heavily toward blue light. Blue light is the signal your brain uses to regulate your circadian rhythm. It's the wavelength that says, stay awake, stay alert. But here's the thing about blue light that most people don't understand. Your sensitivity to it isn't constant throughout the day. It changes. In the morning, blue light sensitivity is high. That sunrise blue light hits your retina, and it's a powerful signal. Your body responds. Cortisol rises. You wake up, but as the day goes on, your blue light sensitivity drops. Your brain is learning that constant daytime has continued. It's safe to relax slightly. But on a sunny day, the blue light doesn't let up. It stays intense all day long. It's afternoon. Your brain is expecting the light to be getting dimmer, but instead it's still hammering you with blue wavelengths. Your brain gets confused. It's receiving a signal that says, peak alertness needed, but your circadian rhythm is saying, we should be winding down. These two systems are in conflict. The result is something called chronodisruption. Your circadian rhythm is disrupted. Your body doesn't know what time of day it is. It doesn't know when to release melatonin for sleep. It doesn't know when to release cortisol for wakefulness. And when your circadian rhythm is disrupted in the middle of the day, your mood crashes. You feel exhausted even though it's only 3 p.m. You feel anxious even though nothing bad happened. Your nervous system is confused. Researchers have found that people who live in places with intense, consistent sunshine actually have higher rates of seasonal mood disturbances than people in temperate climates. It's not seasonal affective disorder. It's something different. It's acute sunshine-induced mood disruption. Here's what's fascinating. Our ancestors actually handled this better than we do. For millions of years, humans experienced sunshine differently than we do now. They weren't exposed to 8 hours of unfiltered direct sunlight. They were usually in partial shade. They wore clothing. Their eyes didn't receive the same intensity of blue light that yours do when you walk outside on a clear day. But more importantly, they had behavioral strategies we've lost. When the sun was intense at midday, ancient humans rested. They went inside. They found shade. They reduced activity. They waited until evening to do their most important work. We call this the siesta, the afternoon rest that's still practiced in Mediterranean and tropical cultures. It wasn't laziness. It was a sophisticated response to the reality that intense midday sun causes mood disruption. But modern culture has decided that the siesta is inefficient. We're supposed to work all day. We're supposed to be productive under harsh fluorescent lights, and then, in our free time, sit in intense sunlight at the beach or park. Your brain is running on ancient software that evolved to handle partial sun exposure and afternoon rest. You're running it on a modern schedule that demands constant productivity under conditions your brain never adapted to. So when you wake up on a sunny day and feel worse by afternoon, it's not your fault. You're not broken. Your brain isn't defective. You're experiencing the collision of three systems, all triggered by conditions your brain didn't evolve to handle. 1. Serotonin overstimulation followed by desensitization and a crash. 2. Circadian rhythm disruption caused by misaligned light intensity and your internal clock's expectations. 3. Inflammatory response to UV and blue light exposure, which suppresses mood-regulating neurotransmitters and raises stress hormones. All three happen simultaneously. All three are real. And all three have one thing in common. They evolved to protect you in an environment that no longer exists. You are a creature built for partial sun, intermittent exposure, and periodic rest. You are living in a world of constant, intense, unfiltered light exposure and the demand for unbroken productivity. This doesn't mean you should avoid the sun, but it means you should treat intense sunlight the way our ancestors did. First, limit direct sun exposure during peak intensity hours. Roughly 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., get your sunlight in the early morning or late afternoon, when the angle is lower and the intensity is reduced. Second, wear sunglasses and protective clothing during midday. Yes, this reduces vitamin D production slightly, but it protects your circadian rhythm and reduces inflammatory response. The trade-off is worth it. Third, honor the siesta. On sunny days, give yourself permission to slow down in the afternoon. This isn't laziness. It's synchronizing your behavior with your neurobiology. Fourth, understand that feeling worse on sunny days doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you're human. Your brain is responding normally to conditions that are actually quite demanding. And fifth, if you find that sunny days consistently trigger mood crashes or anxiety, you might have something called bright light sensitivity or photosensitivity. It's not rare. Many people experience it. And once you understand it, once you stop blaming yourself, it becomes manageable. You thought the sun was supposed to make you happy. Everything told you it would, but your body knows something different. Your brain carries the wisdom of millions of years, when the sun was nurturing but not overwhelming, when brightness was intermittent, when rest was built into the day. We've changed the environment. We've changed the demands. But we haven't changed the brain. Next time a sunny day makes you feel worse, you'll know why. And maybe, just maybe, you'll give yourself permission to rest.